Okay. We're all set. Let's do it. Okay. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Mickey. I'm so happy to have everyone on board. We'll give some people time for some people to join us. A lot of people in the waiting room, so we'll give it another 2 minutes until it will be 12 p.m. Eastern time. In the UK, it's 5 p.m., Amanda, right?
It is, it's 5 p.m. Yes. So good afternoon, evening.
Yeah, and it's 7 p.m. Israel time. So we will give it another minute or so. Meanwhile, if you just join us, as we usually do, you can put your name and where you're from in the chat. We'll be able to shout it out so we know where people are from, everyone. Also, once everyone is joined, we're gonna do a quick poll asking about your preferred timing for our next webinars. We got a lot of feedback that the timing is not perfect, as it's usually weekdays, usually in the middle of the day. So we're gonna ask you to give your feedback for us. So we see a lot of people joining us from all over the US mainly. We have from Canada also, Toronto, Texas, Ohio, Tampa, Florida. I think it's very warm for everyone all around the globe, or if you're from Australia, which is like now winter. But I think all over now it's very warm. Israel has, I think, more than 100 Fahrenheit last week. So it's crazy. I know in the UK also, right? There's a heat wave.
Slowly melting, yeah.
Melting. Everyone is melting. So yeah. So a lot of people from Arizona. I'm sure it's warm there. From Canada, Ottawa, Arizona. Cool. So it's 12 p.m. So welcome everyone. Before we start, let's do a quick poll asking about your feedback about where and when our next webinar should be aired. So let me see if I can do that. Let me see if you can see my poll. Yeah, launch. Okay. Okay, so I think the poll is live, right? Everyone can see it? No? Amanda, can you see the poll? Oh, I see people are asking. Awesome. So I'm asking here if it's supposed to be weekdays or Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and what time. Yeah, people are answering. This is amazing. Wow. Okay. I think everyone liked this time of day. But let's see. We'll give it another minute. And let's see if we can get any other answer than what we're doing at the moment, which I think this is what we're seeing right now. But let's give it another second. If you just join us, welcome. We're doing a quick poll asking people when our next webinar should be in terms of timing, if it's supposed to be weekdays or weekends, and what time of day the webinar should be. 90% of people answer, so I'm gonna close the poll and we can kick off this webinar. Thank you everyone who answered. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so everyone, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Miki Atir. I'm the CMO for Photomyne. I've been working for the company for almost 10 years. And we're very happy to host this this amazing webinar with a great topic of how to share the photos you scan or the photos that you have. I'm going to introduce Amanda in a second. But first of all, I wanna thank you, Mary, and the photo managers and the photo managers team for partnering with us during this year. We had great topics going on for the last year. This is actually our last webinar in this kind of format. And we are planning next year in terms of new webinars and new topics about organizing photos, keeping photos, and a lot of other tips and tricks about saving your memories. So thank you so much for partnering with us. We're excited for next year. So today's topics is about, and I'm sure Amanda has a lot of knowledge about it, but it's about how to share the photos that you scanned or how to share the photos that you have. So we don't want those memories to be kept, from albums after you're digitizing them into folders. It doesn't do a lot of things. So Amanda will give us tips and ideas how to share those photos and how to create live something out of it with your family. Before we go on, just a few quick house rules. So this webinar is being recorded, and we are going to post it on our YouTube channel. So definitely, if you need to leave early or if you want to share with other people, we're going to send a link after the webinar. All the links and all the materials and everything also is going to be included in the post-webinar email. We encourage you to ask questions in our chat. Me and Mary will answer during Amanda's speech or or lecture. And after the presentation, we will open it to live answer by Amanda. So definitely any questions you have regarding to the topic or Photomyne or the photo managers, please feel free to put it in the chat. As we always do, we are having an Amazon sale. So we are having a new bundle sale, and we are offering our mount and light pad and clicker for 35% off. I'll put the link in the chat in a second. And I'll hand it out to Mary, because September is a very exciting month for the photo managers. So she'll explain about Save Your Photos Month. So Mary, please go ahead with that. And then we'll hand it out to Amanda to kick off this webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey. We have really enjoyed partnering with you throughout this webinar series, and I feel like it's been a great resource for people to learn more about who the photo managers are and what we do and how that also incorporates with Photomyne. We have a really amazing initiative coming up in September. It's called Save Your Photos Month. Especially in light of the recent disasters that we've had in the United States and around the globe. We put on a global initiative every year that essentially provides educational tools and resources, and we host live weekly webinars throughout the month of September to support helping people preserve their memories and ensure that their memories are in the right place in case of a disaster or a flood or what have you. And so live on our YouTube channel every week in September, we'll be hosting guest speakers who are experts in the field, and they'll be offering their expert advice and tools and resources, like I said, and we'd love for you to join us. It's free. You can register at saveyourphotos.org, which I'll put in the chat. And feel free to ask any questions, but we would love to have you. And we feel that this is very important, especially, like I said, in the light of recent disasters in our country. So we'd love to have you. And I put the message in the chat.
Cool. So I think there's a lot of questions going on in the chat, Amanda, even before you start speaking.
Haven't even started yet.
Yeah, it's a great question. We will collect all of them, so you can answer those. And if you answer live, amazing. If not, we will keep them, and we'll ask you by the end. But I'm handing you over.
Perfect. Right. Hopefully the tech will agree with me. There we go. So welcome everyone. Yes. So hello, I am Amanda Littlepot, aka the photo organizer, and I love help people bring order to their photo chaos so that they can actually enjoy their memories. So welcome to effortlessly sharing from digital mess to finally enjoyed. But before we start talking about sharing, I wanted to share a little bit more about me for those who don't know me. And obviously I want to do it in the form of photos. So I am a runner by day, hence the photos. But I am not a fast runner. I am not a competitive runner. I am all about the medal. You'll see in the photos. So I am the person who woke up at 3 a.m. the day after the photo manager's conference party to go and run around Disney Epcot just to get a medal with Buzz Lightyear and some spinning aliens on it. Yes, I am that dedicated. And I am a gig goer by night, so I am more kind of rock Foo Fighters than Taylor Swift. But over the last few years, I have gone to go and see Rick Astley. Yes, never going to give you up. And I can highly recommend a Rick Astley gig. And then I am a photo organizer in between. I've been running my photo organizing business over here in the UK, hence the accent, for the last 6 years. And being a photo organizer, I understand the challenges that we all have with our photos, because it can get a bit of a mess. So I'm excited to be here today to talk about something that's supposed to be joyful, sharing our family photos, but can often feel a little bit overwhelming. So this session is all about keeping things simple, safe, and stress-free. And I do go a little bit techie, but feel free to breathe as we do that. So if you've ever tried to explain the iCloud to your mum and she's ended up in the calculator app, or if you have had a relative rename all your baby photos, you're in the right place. So why do we share stuff? It's really important to share our photos. Photos are meant to be seen and not stuck on your phone, your hard drive, your computer. These are your life memories, so sharing is really important to keep the smiles going. And also, it's really great for connecting families, so it's good for strengthening family bonds, especially with older relatives or far-flung relatives. We are such a global community now, it's really useful to be able to share that. But also, it keeps the memories alive in all different kind of formats. So you've got printed, you've got digital frames, you've got albums, you've got screensavers, you've got mugs, you've got tea towels. I mean, the list goes on. But also the bonus of sharing is that it can act as a backup in the right way. So today, yes, we are going to walk through 5 real questions that family-loving memory keepers like you and me are asking so that we can show how simple and practical photo sharing can actually be, even across different devices and the generations. So we're going to look at how do we stop people from editing our photos? How do we share with those maybe slightly technically challenged family members? And how do we automate things? Because we all have the best intentions. How do we share those big batches of photos? And also, how do we get our favorite photos off our phone and into the real world? So let's start. So how can you share photos with family without them accidentally deleting things? Ultimately, we want to keep control while still being beautifully generous. And let's be honest, once you've spent hours perfectly naming your files and creating folders, the last thing is you want your cousin to come in and rename your beautifully labeled folder of mum's birthday into random pics. And then she goes through and deletes all the blurry shots or the ones that she doesn't look her level best. We don't want that. So the trick is to share smartly. And how do you do that? The first thing is to share copies, not originals. The files you share should be like your public version, not your precious master copies. Think about making a guest-friendly platter like from your larder. You would serve a dish with food on it. You wouldn't go and have a look in the kitchen and help yourself to anything. You're not going to do that. Your masters need to stay safe in their own little archive, untouched. The version you share is the one you don't mind being moved, renamed, deleted, because you've still got that original tucked away. But how do you do it? So there are a number of easy ways to keep control. The first one is you can actually do view-only links. So in the likes of Dropbox and OneDrive and Google Drive, when you share a link, you can actually make it so it's view-only. So when you go to any of these, you're looking for like a cog or settings or something like that. And then you can change it to what you want. So in Dropbox, you can actually create like a view-only link, which is great. On OneDrive, you just need to change like the access settings. So it goes from like editor to viewer to not allowed to download. And then in Google Drive, what you're looking for is where it defaults to editor. So you need to click on a little drop down and change it to viewer. And what you can also do in these sections is that you can actually disable downloads. So you can stop people from downloading stuff and then sharing it willy-nilly. And you can also add in expiry dates as well. So those links that you send out in Dropbox and OneDrive, you can set a date for it to expire so you can have total control. But what if you're not using those little areas? What if you're a Google Photo or an Apple Photo sharer? If you're using shared albums in these areas, actually you can control the sharing as well. You can turn off collaboration. So in Google Photos, when you go to the shared album, so you click on it, and then you're looking for 3 little dots, usually at the top, and you look for the options. Then you can toggle off collaborate. So it will stop people from adding stuff in, from deleting stuff, from renaming stuff. Brilliant. On Apple Photos, it's also possible. So when you go to your shared album, you then need to go to, if you're on your Mac, it's kind of near the top. It looks like a little person, the icon, which is where you can kind of control the share. There you need to untick the box that says subscribers can post. That is the bit you're looking for. And once you've found that bit, you can then untick it, and then people can't add stuff, they can't delete stuff, they can't change their mind. So for collaboration in those worlds, really useful. But if we're thinking about collaboration, we also need to make it easy for them to find things, because if they can find what they want really easily, they're less likely to move any of your stuff around. So the best idea is to keep your folders and album names short, clear, and obvious. And I always recommend that people put the year and the month as well. So always do this in numbers. So do the year and then the month. Irrespective of what country you're in, we're going to do year and month. And we're going to do that in numbers, because it means that when you then sort your photos numerically or alphabetically, it means that they all add up in order. Whereas if you put the word April and then August, April and August, when you sort it, would be next door to each other. Not very helpful. So you can do that, but you can also add subfolders, so like ceremony or reception or funny moments, to help people find where they're going, so they're less likely to move stuff. So if you think about it, think about like you're labeling, you're doing it for future you as well as your audience. But ultimately, the one thing you need to think about is never give edit access unless you really mean to. And if you do it by accident, we're going to cover that later. So we've made sure that people can't edit our precious photos. But what about if people aren't even techie enough to have a link? What's the best way to share with those slightly less techie members of your family? How do we keep it simple, not techie? I mean, does your mum or your gran still send you a text message with capital letters and no spaces? Okay, very technically challenged. Or do they send you screenshots of their computer and go, can I click on this link? I'm not sure. These are the people we're talking about. So how do we share with them? There are different ways. And in fact, the lovely Photomyne app can help us with our sharing as well. So in Photomyne, if you go to Photomyne and go to an album of photos, you'll notice at the bottom, there's an area that says link. And you can tap on there and Photomyne will create a custom URL link for you that you can then copy into a text message, put it into a WhatsApp, you can send it into a group chat, you can send it wherever. And they don't need an account, they just need to click on the link and then they can access all of those lovely photos. So super straightforward. But you may also notice that on this slide, there's also a thing that says share. So you can also do that as well. So you can tap on the little share icon when you're in an album, and you have various options. You can do it by Google Photos, you can select photos, you can do that link again. But remember, we're talking about the less techie people in this scenario. So an email is a really good option. So the email sends an album or photos directly to their inbox, and then they can just open up the email. What I will say in this situation, keep a note of who you shared with, because essentially you're sending an email, and if you've attached photos to it, you're kind of losing control of those photos. So make sure that you're aware about who you've shared stuff with. But what if you're not using Photomyne? I know, who knew? Or you've just got digital photos that you want to share. You could just download those photos to your favorite photo storage location, and then you could send them an email or a WhatsApp. You could actually send them an email with a PDF. So all they have to do is open one file and then they get some beautiful photos. Or you just add it to WhatsApp. But I would say it's really useful only for kind of smaller batches of photos. I mean, you might get repetitive strain injury if you try and add too many photos to a WhatsApp message. And also, there is one really big WhatsApp watch out. So when you send a message via WhatsApp, it strips location data, but it also strips the date data. So if I went on holiday for 2 weeks and then waited till the end of my holiday to send a WhatsApp message of some holiday photos, they would pick up the date that I sent those photos. So all the date information of when that photo was taken will be gone. So you need to be really careful about when you send stuff by WhatsApp, because if you've ever wondered why a photo looks weird or in the wrong place, it's because WhatsApp has changed the date to the date you sent it. You can also do a lovely gift of a preloaded digital frame. You can keep control of the frame as well. So these frames normally work through apps. So you can load up the frame, give it over to your gran, but you can keep control of it so that you can then add photos. So my mum has a digital photo frame in her house, which I've gifted to her, but I still have it on my photo app so that I can then load the photos. So she doesn't need to worry about the tech. All she needs to do is sit and enjoy the new photos of me sunning myself on a beach. Brilliant. But also for the truly technical phobic, you could print some photos. I know, shocking. Or you could send them a photo book. Old school, I know, but sometimes old school is the best. I also find that kids really love to flick through photo books. There's something quite beautiful about flicking through a photo book rather than scanning through an iPad or your phone. Something really lovely about that. So we've got some ideas as to how we can share, but how do we automate sharing? How can we set it and forget it? Because we all have the best intentions of sending photos to family. And then 6 months later, we realize we have sent nothing. But the good news is that our little photo apps out there, so Google Photos and Apple Photos, are actually trying to help us share our photos automatically. With a bit of setup, you can automatically share photos with some of your loved ones. So you don't have to lift a finger at all. So over in Google Photos, if people are using Google Photos, there's a thing called partner sharing. So you can share all of your catalog with a partner. To find it, you just need to go to that little gear icon. That's always good just for, where you need to go for all of your settings, but find the gear icon and then scroll down a bit and you'll find the sharing area and open up the sharing menu and you will see partner sharing. Then you click on it and it will take you through the process of setting up partner sharing. So you can choose whether you want to do all photos or whether you want to do specific people by faces. You can also pick what date. So you could do it from today onwards or all your photos from all time. Then you need to use the email for the person you want to share with. Obviously, they need to have a Google Photos account. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So add the email in. And then you click next to send the invitation. Then when they accept the invite, the setup is complete. Now you are sharing all of your photos, all the photos from a point with that one person. So the big drawback of partner sharing is it kind of says it in the name, it's only a partner. So you can only share it with one person, but it's a great way of sharing across husband and wife or family. But Apple Photos decides to take these things one step further. So there is a thing called shared library. So shared library is like Apple Photos shared albums, but on a bigger scale. So if you go to your Apple Photos on your Mac and open it up and then go to the Photos menu and to settings, little pop-up comes up and you then need to go to the shared library tab to get started. And then it will take you through the process. So you can add participants. So you can add up to 5 people. You don't have to make the decision straight away, but they do need to have an iCloud account. Makes sense. Then you can decide what you want to share. So you can just share all of your photos and videos. And if we're thinking about automation, this is a really good way of automating your sharing really quickly. But you can also choose by people or by date. So the choice is yours. Or you can manually select, but remember, we're trying to automate this. But if you want full control, you can decide what you're going to share. The next step is to preview what you're about to share. You can skip that part if you want and go straight to the invite. So you can send an invite via messages or copy the link. And then once they've accepted it, the shared library is active and you can share away and sit down and enjoy making those memories. But okay, that's great. That's quite a lot of things to be sharing with people. How do you share big batches from like an event like a birthday or a holiday to make it manageable but not overwhelming? Because we've all been there. We've done hundreds of scanned prints. We've taken a load of holiday snaps. We've got some old family albums. And then you turn into blind panic and think, well, how am I going to share all of this without boring everyone? Or, well, breaking the internet? Well, there are ways of doing this. First thing is don't share everything at once. Blindingly obvious, I know, but don't. Think about kind of mini stories, not mega dumps of stuff. Pick 5 to 10 meaningful photos at a time, enough to spark memories, but not to overwhelm people's inbox and the internet. So spread it out to one memory drop a week or a month, something just kind of bite-sized. Then think about creating a sharing ritual. So you could do Throwback Thursday, you could do Memory Monday, you could email or message or send all sorts of photos. Like, remember when we were on the beach wearing my sexy swimming costume when I was 4? And you could share it in an album or a folder in small batches. Let people anticipate the next batch. Do you remember the days when, before we had, kind of binge watch everything on Netflix, you had to wait for the next episode? So maybe go back to those times. Wait for the next episode. Share in bite-sized, but sections. You can also curate with care. So you can choose photos with a theme. So mum's birthday outfits over the years, dad's worst holiday hats, or digging holes in the beach. Because who doesn't go to the beach and dig a hole and stand in it? We've all done it. You can also add some context, including names, dates, kind of captions. This was Uncle Dave when he realized the barbecue was still off. Or, this is the dress I really hate because it was so itchy, but my mum left it because you didn't have to iron it. I still hated that dress. I think I just traumatized. Then you need to think about what's the right tool for the job. We've already talked about Photomyne albums is a really great way of doing it in bite size. So you could scan a load and then share, then scan some more and then share. But also things like Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox, use real structured folders. So it's easy for you to add stuff and slowly build the picture you're sharing. But you can add a little bit of humor into those descriptions. So you can have mum's 70th birthday, dancing disasters, or please don't delete. You don't have to flood people with every photo you've ever scanned or taken. Just pick the best and then just let it add, a few at a time. Think of it like memory tapas, more enjoyable in small bites. And then so we've covered how to share and how to keep control, but lots of people kind of say, how do I get my favorite photos off my phone and into the real world? How do we liberate those memories? Because let's be honest, you've got thousands of photos on your phone, but no one ever sees them. You've got 46 pictures of a squirrel or a sunset and no photos of your niece's birthday. Yeah, I'm that auntie. Sorry. So how do we do it? We need to have a little bit of a routine. So choose your favorites, but not all of them. Use your favorites or your heart button on your phone to flag special memories. Or review like the last month. Do the last month, pick 5 or 10 that make you smile. Think about what would spark a good conversation in your family WhatsApp. Then create something intentional. You can just dump them in an album and share, but maybe give them a purpose. Maybe do a photo book for Nan's birthday or a digital slideshow for a family gathering. Canva is a really easy tool to create a digital slideshow. You can basically just put all of the slides into just a presentation, and then you can export it as a video so that it plays as a video. Brilliant. Or you could just do things like monthly memory folders for your siblings or friends, like little bundles of memories so that they feel special. And then share it in a way that works. So for the less techie, we've covered some of those. Email with a PDF is great. For the more techie, use those view-only Dropbox folders with clear names. I would highly recommend that you set a regular reminder in your calendar to liberate your favorite photos once a month, or whatever reminder system works for you. Is it on the calendar on the wall? Is it an alarm on your phone? Anything that will remind you to just spend 5 minutes doing this. Because your camera roll is not a memory system. let's just admit it, it's turned into storage space. So sharing brings those memories out of that phone and into life. But we've covered some great options for sharing, but even with the best intentions, I get it, things can go a little bit sideways sometimes. Don't worry, we've all been there. We've all accidentally shared the wrong version. We've given full access to everyone. We've used a really confusing platform and therefore nobody accesses those photos. Or we forget who on earth we've shared everyone with. So if these sound familiar, I've got some top tips for you. The first one is keep a sharing log, whether it's a piece of paper, just a simple Word document, a note on your phone, an Excel spreadsheet. I love an Excel spreadsheet. Just keep a log of who you shared what with. So you know who's got what link, who has got access to various different kinds of photos. And every so often, revoke and refresh those old links so that you know that that link isn't swimming out there in the distance and you know who's got what. And then you can resend with clear instructions for anything that people aren't really getting the hang of. So how do I get into the app? How should I be using the link? And yes, Mum, it is okay to click on that link because I've shared it with you. So just be really clear. But while sharing is great, we do need to make sure that your photos are safe and private, especially in this digital world. So there are some important points I want to remind you of, but also make sure you're really clear about. So always share copies, not originals. Originals are your master file. They are the highest quality. They are the versions that have all of the data, dates, locations, tags. These are the ones that you don't want to be deleted. Otherwise, you lose the source of your truth. So make sure that you keep that. Export a copy, put it into a shared album or load into a shared folder so that your masters are tucked away safe. I would highly recommend using the view-only links where possible so you can still maintain control, and definitely disable downloads if privacy is a real concern. Sharing with extended family or friends where you don't want the photos circulated further or uploaded to social media without your say-so, make sure you disable downloads. Say you've got a picture of your kids at school that you really want to share with Auntie Amanda, but you don't want it on social media by the time you get home, make sure you disable those downloads. And then the other area, if you are particularly concerned about safety and your locations, did you know that all of your photos tell people exactly where they were taken in the location data in the back? It's handy for finding holiday snaps and thinking, where was I on that holiday? But you don't want to be sharing that information with everyone. If you put it on social media and WhatsApp, all of that data disappears, which is a bit of a plus and a minus. But you can take control of that on your actual apps as well. So on Apple, you go to a photo and you need to look for the little eye, and then you can click on the little eye and then you can adjust the location. And one of the options is to select no location. So the location disappears. Also, Google Photos. Little bit annoying with Google Photos. So you can't remove the location data from a photo on Google Photos if it's uploaded from your native camera. So for example, on my Samsung, it has gallery and then gallery takes it to Google Photos. What I need to do is I need to go back to the gallery on Samsung and then remove the data there. So you're looking for like 3 dots or settings. Usually it's like detail or information, and then you can delete the location data there. And for photos that are on your computer, don't worry, it's easy. If it's on Apple Photos, you can use the eye. But if it's just a file on your computer, you can also remove that data. And one of my favorite ways to do it is to use a program called Adobe Bridge. So it's an Adobe program that's actually free, which is great. So you just need an Adobe account. You can download it, and then you can see all the metadata, so all the data behind your photos, and you can delete that location data so nobody knows where it was taken. Brilliant. But if we're thinking about storage of photos, we need to think about the next generation. And we need to think about how we're going to share that with the next generation. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we are backing up our master files separately. And a shared folder is not a backup. If your shared album is edited, deleted, it's gone. And by backing up properly, you need to have at least one off-site. So something stored away from your home. So a cloud storage, in a safety deposit box. There is absolutely no point in going, I've got all of my stuff backed up on 2 external hard drives and they're in the drawer, in my desk, in my house. If we think about what Mary was saying in the beginning, so Save Your Photos Month is all about disasters. That disaster you would not be able to recover from. So make sure you have a backup offsite. And make sure it's clearly labeled what it is. You can pick up a hard drive and your family would have no idea what it is. So make sure your family know what's on it and how to access it. You can keep a simple document, printed or digital, listing where your photos are. I am a big fan of password managers. So you can use things like LastPass, 1Password, or Keeper. And essentially those things, you can keep all of your passwords safe, you can keep them updated. And there are really useful ways where you can give emergency access or overall password access so that they can get in. But remember, it's not just about disaster recovery in this space. It's also about ensuring your memories can be passed on to even if you're not here to explain it. But before we wrap up, I wanted to share how I share my own photos in real life. These are my go-to methods that I use again and again, and I use different things for different people. So I love a digital frame for the grandparents and my mum. So NixPay and Aurora frames, you set them up and then you can update them yourself. It's just a beautiful way of them seeing all your photos. When it comes to everyday memories or kind of little groups of memories, shared albums are my go-to area. So Google Photo shared albums and Apple shared albums. It's great for that kind of like quick share. When it comes to legacy projects, things like, scanning and legacy projects, they tend to be on your computer and you tend to have done some beautiful foldering and naming and annotating and tagging. So if I'm sharing that kind of stuff, I tend to do a view only kind of folder. So the Dropbox links or the OneDrive links. When it comes to milestones, I really love a printed photo book. They're timeless, they're heartfelt, they're just something so beautiful just to flick through those lovely photo books. And then when it comes to easy wins with TechShy members and just quick shares, WhatsApp and email are my go-to, but they are kind of like only in a quick share. And sometimes I even send small framed photos in the post. Yes, the actual post. You remember the thing where you stick a stamp on it and it arrives through the letterbox and it doesn't ask you to update your software first? I mean, how good is that? Yes, you can send a photo, but pick the method that suits your family. There's no right way, just the right way that brings smile without stress. So we've covered the 5 most common questions I get when asked about photo sharing. Hopefully you've come away with a few aha moments and the reassurance that it doesn't have to be complicated. But just remember, you don't have to share everything at once. Start small, one folder, one album, one person. Sharing your photos should be joyful, not feeling like admin. So thanks so much for having me. I hope you are excited to go and start doing some sharing. And if today's talk has started you thinking, right, I'm ready to do something with these photos, I know that Mike is going to share you're going to get a link with my quick start guide that's attached to it. You can also you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I have a YouTube channel, Amanda the Photo Organizer, where I do friendly bite-sized videos on all things photo organizing. And I do talk about Photomyne on there as well. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, I do have photo mess success courses that you can find out all about on my YouTube channel as well. So remember, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be somewhere. Your future self will thank you for it.
Wow, Amanda, that was crazy. Thank you so much.
A lot of information. Let me see your lovely face. There you go.
It was great. Thank you so much for that. We will open it now for questions that we hasn't had the chance to answer it live. There was a lot of questions about Photomyne, so I want to say about that. We will definitely have a webinar for our advanced users or for beginners users also, hopefully in September or October. So we'll announce it in the next couple of weeks. It will also cover how like Photomyne users can use our online portal, which is another way to use Photomyne and the desktop, like and the desktop like service as a way to organize the photos, and then of course save them and share them. And as Amanda mentioned, there's an easy way to do it with Photomyne, with the link, or with the share by email or by WhatsApp or any other like means of communication. But again, I think it's so crucial. So we all scanning a lot of photos all the time and making sure that we are very organized. But if it sits in folders, it doesn't do anything. And we want to get those reactions from our peers and family and friends, that they will know that these histories will keep on like moving forward. So it's not something to hide or keep in boxes or folders. Yeah, but Mary, any question that you summarize that Amanda can answer, or if it's like for us also?
Yeah, I actually sent you a document, Amanda, if you want to take a look as well. But I think the first question we had was, is there an app which collates photos as you take them and then sorts them into categories you pre-select?
So
I think
there
that,
are, yeah, so there are a few apps that are out there that are kind of quite, most of them, if you want it to do kind of, so Apple Photos and Google Photos will do the AI kind of stuff for you, so you can just search on those. The other program that I like is called Mylio, that does, you can put it on your computer and then you can have it on your phone. And again, it does kind of like some good keywording. What you're wanting to look for, there's a wealth of programs out there. What you'll want to look for, if that's what you want something that's going to do keywording or tagging is what they'll call it. So I know that in Photomyne you can tag some, you can put some notation, but what you're looking for is either a program that will do an AI and search for that, or that you can tag yourself. But check out Mylio, is a good one.
okay.
Yeah, so it's spelled, I don't know if you put it in the chat, it's spelled Mylio, if you're not sure how to spell it.
I can put it in there.
Yeah, there you go.
And then the next question we had was, is there a more efficient way to organize photos into folders than using Click, Move, and Google Photos?
Okay, so if you're using Google Photos, there is no more efficient way than clicking and moving, because that's just how it works. If you are in Apple Photos, you can do smart albums on your Mac, so you can do it by keywords. If you've taken everything out of your computer, there are some really lovely kind of automated foldering tools out there. So if you're on a PC, check out Photomove, that will sort it into years and months for you. And if you're on a Mac, the Big Me Folder Machine, which I am a bit of a fangirl of because it's amazing, will sort it into years and months for you as well. So that's a good kind of place to start if you've got like a dump of photos. But unfortunately, those apps, Google Photos, the only way to do it is to click and move. There is no kind of smart process.
Okay, great. Another question we had was, can you make an e-photo book so there's no printing required?
Yeah, I mean, there is apps out there. I mean, you can do it in like Canva. So what I mentioned about doing it in Canva, you can then export it as a video. So then they have a video file. I use a thing called Flip Builder, which you can then create it. It's like going through a magazine. That's a really good way of turning it into an ebook as well. I really like those ones. Those are my two favorites.
Another question we had was, what options exist for non-cloud-based sharing?
So yeah, so you've got the, actually print it and send it. You can do you could do like a USB thumb drive, send it to people. The photo frames, the digital photo frames, it's kind of on the cloud, but you can then add photos onto the frame, or you just go old school and do like a photo book, or mugs or mouse mats, you can do prints. Those are kind of the ways of doing it. The problem of the reason you use the cloud is because then they don't need to be next door to you. So otherwise everything's on your computer.
That's great. Another question, which is interesting, is how do you delete pictures from your phone without deleting them from the cloud?
Okay. So yeah, I did a video on this recently. So there are different kind of services when it comes to your photos. So if you are on an Apple or a Google, these services are syncing services. So if I delete it from my Apple phone, it goes from everywhere. If I'm on Google Photos, If I delete a photo, even from my Samsung gallery, it will sync and delete it from Google Photos as well. So there isn't actually a way of staying backed up from the cloud and deleting stuff from your phone. However, things like automatic backup of like Dropbox or OneDrive or Amazon Photos, they're what I call a one-way street. So they back everything up, and if I delete it from my phone, it stays there. So they are pure proper backup approaches. But you then don't get fancy AI. You get some fancy AI with Amazon Photos, which you have to have Amazon Prime to use. But yeah, please don't delete, think that, well, it's in, I've had a couple of people said, oh, well, it's in, it's in iCloud, it's fine, I can delete it. No, don't, because it will delete it from everywhere.
Does it make sense to have Apple Photos and Google Photos, or is it redundant to have both?
It's kind of a bit redundant to have both of them because there's kind of syncing kind of platforms. It's usually best to have, if you want to think about backing up your phone photos, it's having like Apple or Google and then maybe OneDrive or Dropbox to do the automatic backup that will then keep everything safe. And if you delete everything, it's still there.
We have one other person that asked that she's about to start scanning old photos, which are organized into regular folders and boxes, and she wants to merge these scanned photos into her original folders on her laptop. And she wants to know if she should tag them to show that they're scanned so that future family members know that there are original hard copies.
So I would, just because then they know what, it's always useful to do tagging in the background so that they know where it's come from. If you have done a lot of scanning and you haven't like redated them to the date that they should be. So if you've taken it now, if you've scanned it now, it will look like 2025, but you can change it so it looks like 1980. That's also a really nice task to do. And there's some various apps out there that can help you do that. Adobe Bridge can help you. There's a better find attributes. There's some other kind of tools out there that will help you redate those photos. I do like to tag to make sure that everyone's clear about why it doesn't look as amazing as a digital photo as well, because usually a printed photo doesn't look as amazing unless you put it through Photomyne and then it does some improvements for you.
I will add to that in Photomyne you can actually scan the photos and then edit the name of the photos. And when you download like the file from Photomyne, if you edit like the title for it, it will download with the description like of the file name. So if you save it, you will see like 1990 or 9050 and the name that you gave inside Photomyne. So in terms of metadata, it will download like with the metadata, but it's important to know, as Amanda mentioned, that if you upload it to any cloud services, it will have the date of the upload date and not the date that you put in Photomyne, because that's something that is difficult to put in. You need to like put it again. So it might be easier to organize all the photos before scanning by years, and then once you upload it into Google Photos or iCloud, and then just batch it and make sure that everyone is 90/90. Because if you upload it into Google Photos, it will just get lost there.
Yeah,
And
you'll get very confused very quickly.
Yeah. And also we recommend to keep, the old photos, which are between 1,000 to 3,000, 5,000, maybe old photos in a separate place, maybe Photomine, maybe in like another cloud service. And then the new photos that are all, has all the location and the geotagging and the naming and the AI, everything in a separate place, which is very easy to find there because they're being tagged while you upload. So all the location, all the major location could be searchable, and all the names and all the face recognitions. We don't do face recognition on Photomine, so we can name the name of the person and then you can find it out in Photomine, but we are not doing face recognition in terms of this face is the exact other face of other people. Those it's been done on the Google Photos. So yeah, if you scan photos, it might be worthwhile to keep them on another separate backup and make sure they're old photos until like
Yeah.
the
And I would say, as a word of warning, if you do put them into these apps like Apple Photos or Google Photos, make sure that you're clear about how you were going to get them out again, because sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. That's a whole different webinar.
A lot of people are asking how would you batch e-photos and store them in one of those like Google Photos or Apple?
So what, as in like scans or?
I believe so, if they have old physical photos and if is there an easy solution to convert them?
Into digital ones.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Photomyne is
We
a
got
great option.
Photomyne, and we got a photo managers, and we got like
Right.
Or photo managers, yeah.
Yeah, but I think maybe the question was about how to take like photos that are on your hard drive and then to batch them onto the Google Photos. So I think you mentioned that with like Adobe Bridge or other software like that, but it's very easy to upload photos. Just make sure that they're all tagged like properly, and you
Yeah.
know, and make sure that you add them to those like services in a way that it'd be easy to organize it there. Because once you upload it, because it doesn't have geolocation, if there's old photos, and because you don't have the actual date, it will be kept as 2025, the date of the upload, and then also the location is not being saved. So easier to organize than before. Make like placeholders, you know, either by events, a wedding, reunion, whatever, and then year, which also helps too.
Yeah. Does that answer the question?
I think so. There's lots of different ways to do this, clearly.
Yeah.
I think another question we had was, how do I access sharing functions in the app? Only for individual photos. She says she's a Mac user.
So a Mac and therefore an Apple user. So on your phone you can use like shared albums. So you can create an album and then share it. You can do it from anything. So if you click on any individual photo, there'll be a share option, and then it gives you a whole list of places that you can share. So you can, you know, send it to Dropbox if you want. You can send it by email. You can send it by text. So there's kind of basic sharing photo by photo. Go near the bottom, it's usually some kind of share option. And then above that, there's shared albums, which you can create from your phone by scrolling in the new app, you know, Apple iPhone, get to kind of albums area, and then you can create a shared album from there and add people on. On your Mac, you can do exactly the same thing. You can share from there using create the shared album and then share it. But again, as I said, you can control the collaboration. So you can make it so that they can't do anything. All you're doing is sharing it.
That's great. Thank you. I think we have a couple more questions, Mickey, and then maybe we'll just, if anyone wants to write in to support, maybe that would be, we can answer those later on. Do you have a photo book supplier that you recommend?
So PhotoBooks obviously depends where you are in the globe. Like I know in the US, Mixbooks I think is kind of sort of Mary probably knows better than I do about the US. I know in the UK we like a program we know, and in Europe it's called Cewe, and it's spelt CEWE. Yeah. They do really lovely photo books, and you know, they do some really beautiful kind of prints. What I would say is that you can do photo books kind of directly from, you know, Google Photos, Apple Photos. What you need to think about is, if you know, are they going to stay around? If you want all of your photo books to look and feel the same, pick a program, you know, pick a supplier that's been around for a while, because otherwise you'll end up with, you know, half your books looking one size and half your books looking another. And as a perfectionist, I like to make sure they all look beautiful.
Right. And I actually am going to put a couple other options in the chat as well. You also can search our find feature for the photo managers and find photo managers who specialize in creating photo books as well. So you're welcome to take a look at those. And there's a couple other companies I listed there.
Yes, Miller's, that was the one I was trying to think of. But yeah, you know, it depends on where you are in the world. I would say, you know, some of the mass-produced ones are great just for a quick photo book. But if you want something, you know, kind of like the blurb or the photo box, they're great just for, you know, kind of like a mass-produced book. Essentially, you get what you pay for. You know, if you're going for a mass-produced book, you're going to get mass-produced quality.
Yeah. I would add to that that I think it's really relevant to like understand exactly what the photo book is about, and if you want to make it exactly like a mass production or make it something boutique, I saw in my experience that a lot of the big names like Shutterfly, Snapfish, and like other big companies are doing that. They have great programs. Everything is running very smoothly. But if you want something more emotional, or maybe something that will take more time to work on, so this might be something like near you. A lot of small providers that can happily help you to do that has the great programs. And I think also AI now like very shortened the way of you to create a photo book itself. And then I think the like the most like hard part in creating a photo book is to organize the photos before.
Mhm.
There are new
Yeah.
ones or old ones or a mix of both.
Yeah. And I know that you've already had Shana, the photo book master, on here as well. So that's a great rewatch to get all of her beautiful knowledge on how to do those photo books as well.
Cool. Yeah, so I think we'll wrap up. That was great. Again, a lot of questions. We will send all the links in the recording in our post-webinar email. As Amanda mentioned, you can see our post-webinars with a lot of information, including photo books and others, way to organize your photos on our YouTube channel. But we will send everything by email. So Amanda, thank you so much for this great presentation, great
Thank you
topic.
for having me.
Mary, thank you for the photo managers. And I encourage people to go and like register for Save Your Photo Month. Great lectures for free. So definitely like worthwhile to test it. Yeah, and we will announce our next webinar in our emails in the next week or so. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening or like rest of the day, and hopefully not too warm for everyone.
Thank you.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Thanks, man.